And again, I never know if I should wait or if I shouldn't wait or give you a few minutes, or is the camera actually rolling now? Good morning, everybody. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is the 3rd of February. Let me just check here. Yes, look, I got it right. It is the 3rd of February. You know what that means, don't you? That means love is in the air. So, and anyway, it's a very special month for me. But before we begin with all of that stuff, first of all, I'd like to say good morning to my spirit guide, Grey Eagle, who is standing just to my right side. And I'd also like to say good morning, Chris. Good morning, good morning, good morning to you too.
Good morning, Rosemary. Good morning, everyone. We have all kinds of people logging on.
Oh, we do? Good, 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 good. Well, let's give everyone a few minutes to do that. And let me see. I'm going to talk about February. Well, we all know that February is a very special month for young love, old love, aged love, all kinds of love, because Valentine's Day is only 11 days away. Oh, golly. Does that scare you? You know, when I was a kid, at school, girls would always come saying they got a Valentine's Day card for this or that or the other. And I never, ever, ever, I'm going to break your hearts now, aren't I? I never had a Valentine's Day card until I was 16 years old. Sweet 16 when I first received my very, very first Valentine's Day card. And I was so excited. I was so excited about it. It was just such a, wow, finally, I've got my Valentine's card. So, you know how also I find it interesting when, because you're supposed to send a Valentine's card, aren't you? You're supposed to send it anonymously. Um, and I'd love to hear if any of you, throughout the morning, as we're talking about this, I'd love to hear if any of you have had a Valentine's card with, you know what it's like, it says with love and all that, and a question mark or whatever it says. Have any of you had a Valentine's Day card with a question mark and either found out who sent it or haven't found out who sent it? I've had not a lot of those, but I've had probably 3 or 4 in my life where, you get a Valentine's card and it comes out of the blue and you have no clue who it is. And boy, oh boy, is that frustrating. And you try to guess and then you guess wrong. Or you ask the person you think it is, did you send me a Valentine's Day card? And you've got it wrong because they absolutely didn't send you a Valentine's Day card. So anyway, the month is February and love is in the air. But for me, more important than Valentine's Day is the 12th of February, which happens to be my darling boy's birthday. Oh, anyway, he is going to be 9 years old. 9 years old, and he's so excited because his mum is taking him ice skating. He's having a sleepover with 2 of his best friends. And and I can't say what else because it's a secret. But anyway, there's something else going on as well, which I'll tell you about after the birthday. And then, of course, because they always do it, I think it's spring break. So this is a very, very, very exciting month for me because I'm hoping that my darling boy and my darling girl will be coming to Florida for a week to visit me. A week is not a long enough time, but still, how nice for me. So I'm getting very, very excited by the fact that they are actually coming to visit. So, Chris, before I start with my agenda, I'm not sure I really have an agenda actually, but before I start with my agenda, what I'm thinking here. What comments do we have? Do we have any comments? Any questions? Anything going on there?
Well, we always have just such a lovely group in the chat room. Not everybody who's on decides to come in the chat room, but everyone's saying hello to each other, and you and Gray Eagle. Pamela did remark that she loved making Valentine's cards.
Oh, nice. Yes, I've never made a Valentine. Well, I won't say never. No, I don't think I have ever made a Valentine's card. But then I don't think I've actually. I mean, I just said I didn't receive many Valentine's cards, but I don't really send them out either. So, there you are. There you have it. So, all right. So now I know that we're talking about love and all that stuff, but I also know that all of you out there are really interested in what I do with my day. So let me give you a scenario of the week that I've had. Very unexciting. However, my floors in my dining room and also in my kitchen, actually, we had floods. I had floods, and the floors came up because they are wooden. I have wooden floors, nice, really beautiful wood floors, and all the things rose up, and they've been like that. And I've been trying to get someone in to fix them, and with COVID, and then it's got really expensive, and then I was away, and on and on and on. It's gone for 18 months until finally this week. Oh, there's been sawing, there's been hammering, there's been the smell of paint, there's been the smell of varnish, and I've been having to tiptoe around, going around so I don't walk in all the wet stuff on the floors. So finally, my floors are done, except the kitchen floors do need to be stained. Other than that, they're all done. I mean, that's exciting, right, Chris? It means that I don't have to have things, sort of obstacles like stools and chairs over floorboards that have been raised up because of the water level and ruining the floorboards. It means that I've got a straight run through, and I'm not going to trip myself up, and I'm not going to hurt myself. So that's one very, very exciting thing that happened to me this week. But here's another exciting thing that happened to me. Now, all of you, I think most of you know that I like to knit. And can you see this, Chris?
If you hadn't mentioned that, I think I was just going to pop in there and mention that.
Oh, right. Oh, really? Anyway, I love to knit, and I used to knit all of my daughters' sweaters. I used to knit for me, for my husband. I used to knit for a lot of people. Actually, not such many people, but I like to knit all the time. And then I don't know what happened when Samantha got to be about 12 or 13, maybe 15 or something. She much preferred to, she liked the look of the bought sweaters and so on and so forth. And so slowly, surely, I stopped knitting, and of course did not pick up any knitting needles until, you can guess, I know you can guess, until we got the news of my grandson being born. So the first thing I knitted was an incredibly beautiful shawl. I'm boasting and bragging. I'm blowing my own trumpet here, lass. Did you like that, Chris?
I did love that.
I'm boasting and bragging because the shawl is gorgeous and beautiful. And if I remember, Chris, the next time I'm in New York, I'll haul it out and show it to you all. It's gorgeous.
Oh,
anyway,
come on. Show us up close your sleeves and how they match the neckline.
Give me a minute. Anyway, so I picked up my needles again, and the first thing I did was I made the shawl. Then I thought, the mother-to-be needs something nice, so I made Samantha a really nice sweater, cable sweater. And then, of course, I've been knitting mostly for Reese, 2 or 3 things for Samantha, very nice things for for Samantha that I've tried to get back from her, actually. She won't let me have them back. I knitted a sweater for my sister for her 70th birthday, nice cable sweater. And 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 then, you know, I decided I really think it's time I made something for me, because everybody else got something. So I've taken several months, trust me, on and off, knitting. Do you like my sweater, everybody? Knitting this sweater, the first actual sweater that I've actually worn, that I've actually knitted for myself in probably 20 or 30 years. Do-do-do-do. So here it is. And I know that, Chris, you said you can't see the details. So I'm going to show you close up. You tell me, Chris, if you can see it, because everybody wants to know what I do and what I'm up to and what I'm doing when I'm not working. So this is a little bit, because you all know I cook as well, right? Where do I find the time? Anyway, are you all ready? Get ready for this. This is amazing. Not really, but here we go. Chris, you tell me if how close do I need
Just
to
hold your
come
arms
here?
steady. Yeah, there you go. Oh
So
my God,
there
it's
it is.
gorgeous.
Isn't that gorgeous? And the
All the comments
cuffs.
in the chat room, Rosemary, it's lighting up. Nice sweater. It's absolutely beautiful, just
Isn't that
gorgeous.
nice?
You are
And this, you see
entitled
this
to toot
diamond
your horn.
pattern?
And yeah,
This, the diamond pattern is that's my favorite. And I actually can do it with not quite with my eyes closed, but I can do it in my sleep. I know exactly all the stitches and so on, because the very first time, actually, the very first thing I ever knitted, I was sick at the time, so I was probably about 19, and I couldn't go to work, and I had all the kiddie stuff going on, and so I was bored. So I knitted a cardigan for my husband, because in those days, like a smoking jacket sort of thing with leather buttons and so on. And unbeknownst to me, I'm a very, very tight knitter. So I need to knit at least 2 sizes bigger than the pattern would say in order for it to sort of work out to be the right size, at least 2, if not 3 sizes bigger. So I ended up having that cardigan. Nice, right? And I wore it and I wore it and I wore it. And the next thing I knitted was an Aran sweater, actually very similar to this pattern with the diamonds and everything as well. And I knitted an Aran sweater. Now, most people would say, "Are you crazy?" Yes, I saw the pattern for an Aran sweater in our little local village shop, and I thought, I can do that. So I bought the wool and I bought the pattern, I bought the needles, and I was all raring to go. And it was my neighbour who lived 3 or 4 houses away from me, who was the go-to person, because she was a knitter. So I would ask her, and that's how I began knitting, because she was a knitter. So one Saturday, I'm looking at the wool, I'm looking at the pattern, and she hasn't had time to help me. She hasn't had time to describe what K2, P1, what is it, KPO, what all these things you get in a pattern, and I had no idea what any of it meant. But this Saturday, I had nothing to do in the afternoon, and I thought, I'm going to have a go at this. And I read the pattern, and I've no idea how they were, everything is abbreviated, but on the back of the pattern, it sort of explained, sort of, what you were supposed to do. And by the time evening came around, I was halfway up the sweater, on the back of the sweater, and really getting into the swing of it. So it was fun, because you know, when you've no idea what you're doing and then you figure it out, it's like a puzzle, isn't it? And you work it out, and there it is. So I knitted an Aran sweater for my husband, and I really liked it so much. I knitted another one for me, and we used to go onto the beach, and we used to go on vacations wearing wearing our matching sweaters. That's what you did in those days. Remember, I'm a very old lady, old lady. So, anyway, so here I am after all of these years of not knitting anything for myself. It's very fitting that the first thing I should really knit for myself is this, I love it, beautiful Aran sweater. And I have a habit of making it my own patterns. I have a habit of making up my own necklines. Uh, I mean, why wouldn't you? Why? So this is my own made up stuff, and that's as much as I'm going to blow my own trumpet, as they say in North Yorkshire. That's as much as I'm going to boast and brag about my lovely sweater, which feels gorgeous. Right, Chris. Now let's move on to other things.
Oh, no. We got to read all the comments about your sweater.
Oh, okay, all right.
Judy says, you are entitled to toot your horn and blow your own trumpet. Your sweater is amazing, gorgeous, angelic. And then Dean says, I could really use your sweater today. It's minus 18 Fahrenheit here in Wisconsin with a stiff wind.
All right. Ooh, that sounds horrible. That sounds, Dean, you need to leave. Come to Florida. What are people thinking? Why are you living in those places? I know that a lot of people don't have a choice, but I guess you don't, do you? Because all your family's there as well. Move all of them. Get into a warmer climate, Dean. It's so nice here today. Okay, keep going, Chris.
Let me see. Rhonda says it's definitely sweater weather here in Colorado. There it's minus 5 Fahrenheit. Eric's saying, yes, nice sweater. Maggie, beautiful. Cheryl, that's amazing knitting skills. Pamela, fantastic. Maggie, the cabling is wonderful. Let's see. Judy says you really needed Google and YouTube back then when you were talking about knitting for your husband.
No, I managed perfectly. I didn't need Google, and look, we didn't have it, and I didn't need any of it. All I needed was what did I actually need? I needed the wool, the needles, the pattern, and my brain. And I think it's I know we all love Google, don't we? We wouldn't be without it, right? But that's frightening to me, because what happens if Google blows up? What happens if the internet, we don't have it anymore? What are we going to be doing? And I think if we're not careful, we can be reliant so much. I know how convenient it is, because I know when my garage door broke and it wouldn't go up and down, I Googled it. I mean, I use Google just like anybody else, but I do worry that we're developing, and especially for our young people, I guess they have a different set of skills. But it's like I used to do carpentry. I love woodworking, and nobody taught me. I taught myself how to do it using this. And I do think that we, all of us, have so many more skills than we really understand that we do. I remember the first time, I was. I remember the first time I did some wallpapering, and I was so careful, but using my brain. And I'd watched other people before me doing it, and I could see the pitfalls. And I remember wallpapering, because in those days wallpaper was everything. I remember wallpapering a whole living room and dining room with no skill set at all. And dare I say it, boasting and bragging, it was great. It was really great. And I think the more we apply ourselves to making things, creating things, or figuring things out, I mean, I know Google helps, but to figure things out and to use your brain is really, I think it's a very necessary thing that we should all strive to do.
All right. So did you want to go into whatever you were going to go into next, or do you want questions from the chat room?
Well, let's go to questions, and then we'll talk about love.
Okay.
I know it's not going to, I promise it's not going to get sloppy. You'll be surprised when I start to talk to you about love. You'll be surprised at at what we're going to be talking about today. So, yes, any questions or comments, keep them coming for a little bit.
Okay, so Shamanth jumped right on this morning saying, today is the birth anniversary of my departed brother-in-law, Nagesh, who passed away in December 2020 to cardiac arrest. He would have been 22 today. Is there any message from him? We are missing him immensely today.
See, I was about to say no, but Gregor has his hand on my shoulder. So, this is actually from Gregor. I am told that there is another anniversary for you also this month, very important anniversary for you this month. I do feel from what Gregor tells me that your loved ones in the spirit world are, for some reason or another, Samantha, very excited. So there's something going on that is joyful and happy, and there's an anniversary or something. It could be a birthday perhaps, but they seem to be it's good news for the family. I feel like a fortune teller doing this, but apparently Gregor tells me to say to you that there is good news coming to the family. So please don't worry about your loved ones in the spirit world, my darling, because they are fine. They are well. If Gregor tells me, then it's so. I will tell you a little story, if we have time later, about Reese and Gregor last night. But anyway, very funny little story. But yes, they are fine. But there is something that your loved ones in the spirit world are celebrating, really, really excited about and celebrating. If you know what they're talking about, maybe let us know, because we all like to be involved in it, don't we, Chris? We all like to.
We are. I'm sitting here in my head saying, oh, please tell us when you find out.
Yeah. Okay, Chris, keep going.
All right. So Andrew's on and has a question. I wonder how people that pass to spirit evaluate their success in terms of the life they had before they passed. Some people will on the earth plane would equate success with monetary gain and nothing else.
Yes. Well, I think that I think it's interesting, and Chris, if you don't mind, I'm going to use Mike as an example here. He's standing looking at me, and he doesn't really want me to blow his trumpet, but I'm going to, because I think that I think Chris's husband, Mike. How would you describe him, Chris? Quiet,
unassuming,
lot of humility, very unassuming, would help anyone at any time. I mean, really, the both of you put yourselves out remarkably. I mean, unbelievably. I know you have for me. Sort of going above and beyond to help other people. But if you had said to Mike, and even looking at him now, he's saying, no, 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 he didn't do any more than anybody else would. But that's actually not true. So, okay, so he may or may not have thought that his life was a success. I'm not sure. I think he was very contented with his life here on this earth. But I think that we do evaluate our own selves. We do evaluate our own lives. And of course, no point evaluating in a monetary sense when you're not here anymore, because it's not going to do you any good, is it? Although, it can do your family good, and it can ease your family's burdens. So that is a kind of success. But I think the most important kind of success is something that Mike has had since he passed. And I think any of us really know what other people feel about us or think about us. We don't really quite get how maybe people perceive us Are we well loved? Are we not well loved? Do we have many friends, etc., etc.? But I know that for Mike, since Mike passed, um, I know that it's been overwhelming for you, Chris, and for the boys. But how amazing! It's almost as if people have come out in droves, and I mean in droves, to um, to recognize your husband, to recognize Mike, to recognize all of the good things that he did. They honor him, and he has been honored by his state. Uh, what was he voted best coach or something for
Volunteer of the
baseball?
year.
Volunteer of the year. I mean, and he's a guy who goes along not even realizing or knowing or understanding or even interested in how other people perceive him. And I know, Chris, that you've done the same thing. And you go along and you just do what you do. You think it's a normal thing to do, and then all of a sudden, uh, you must have seen it. You must have seen it with Mike and been so proud and so pleased that people saw him for who he was. That is, I would say, success. And I think probably, and, and I think you might agree with me, I think Mike is, even though he was not wealthy by any means, you struggle to go to work, you pay like everybody else, you hopefully make enough to pay your bills, but you're not necessarily seen as a success. But I would say that Mike is one of the most beloved and the most successful people that I know. What do you think, Chris?
I'd like to think so, and you're absolutely correct. It's unfortunate that people come after you've passed and say something. It would be nice that they
Yeah.
do it as it's happening, but I know you said early on how overwhelmed he was. He had no idea the impact he made on people's lives here until after he
No.
passed.
And I don't think you did too, did you? You just were two regular people just getting on with your lives. But both of you, I think, in so many ways have had a huge impact in people that you wouldn't even consider, even noticing you. So I think, so success. It's in the eye of the beholder, but I would rather be beloved than have no friends or very few friends and have a nice big house and all the rest of it. I know which way I would choose, but I mean, you know, how people perceive themselves is interesting because when we pass, then we not only can take good look at ourselves, but we see how other people see us, and we see the effect that we had on other people too. Interesting, Chris.
All right, so this is from Pamela. I would like to connect with our mom, Nadine. I was with her when she transitioned. I feel she is always close. Did she find out who her biological father is? I hope she is surrounded by love and peace.
Oh golly, we could use a long time for you, and I'm relying on Grey Eagle to give us the answer here. And here is what he's saying to you: secrets unfold, and so I think that must mean either yes or in due time she will find who her father is. But I think Gregel's nodding and saying, you know, so many secrets, so many lies, so many hidden things, so many hidden truths. So much goes on in our world where people try to hide all sorts of things, sometimes for really good reasons, and sometimes for nefarious reasons. Can't hide once you're in the spirit world. No hiding there. Chris.
All right, this is from Cheryl. Do people have hobbies on the other side? Do they have similar interests as they did here on Earth?
Oh, that's a good question. And I think really, I love the question, but it depends on the person. I mean, I'm not. a snowboarder. I am not a skier. I do not have any outside sports interests or hobbies. But one of the things I'd love to do if I get the chance when I go to the spirit world is I would love to sort of climb a mountain. I'd love to, you know, fly to the tallest tree and see what the view is like. Um, you know, I even though I do not do physical sports, it's physical outdoor stuff here. Um, I do astral travel, so maybe that counts. So I think that when we leave this earth and we're able to travel all over the place. I think one of my hobbies might be sort of to visit different countries, different cultures, to explore. I love to be able to really explore different religious beliefs and so on. So if that counts as will I have a hobby, I think probably I will. But it depends on the person and what they want to do.
That was just stunning what you said, Rosemary, because I'm thinking, all right, so here you are in just like a nice little cocktail party having small talk and say, well, I don't ski and I don't snowboard, but I do astral travel. Can you imagine? Oh, I can
I
hear them
have
all
travel.
twittering.
Yeah, but I do travel the universe, and yeah, and I do, go to visit my patients at night time, and yeah, I do that. So I do get my exercise, but it's more of a spiritual exercise than ever it is a physical exercise. Yeah, that's funny, right?
It really is. Annika's saying, of course, here, great sweater. It's been a
Thank you.
while since I have knitted. For the past few weeks, I've been reading one or two chapters of your books before I go to sleep.
Oh, nice. Which ones? We want to know. And how are you doing with that? Are you enjoying it? That's what we want to know. We want to know all of those things. Chris.
Betta is saying, my dear Rosemary, I would like to know if a project that concerns me, which has recently started, will have wider developments
Yes,
in the future.
I don't even want to know the rest of the question because here is my answer. Better, you are lovely. We love that you come on our show. We love that you tell us these things. I think this is going to be something that you're doing which will have a much wider effect than you could imagine. So get in there, keep going with it. Chris.
Mark popped on saying, I'm only able to say a warm hello, then a sad goodbye. I have to shovel
Oh,
a blizzard in Tulsa. It's 0 out here. Kind of reminds me of you in Vermont. Just kidding, Chris.
Mark, would you like to see my sweater? Shall I show you a closer? This is what you need to be wearing. See that? This is what you need to be wearing when you're digging out that snow and rain. We call this an Aran. Well, I call this an Aran sweater, but uh, the old fishermen's sweaters in that they used to make in Ireland and Scotland, and the sort of in the Orkneys and sort of very far north. Um, I'm not sure you can get it. I bet you can get it. If I went to Ireland, I bet I'd find it. And if anybody can find it for me, I'd love to know about it. But they use wool that has is waxed. The wool is sort of very, very lightly waxed. You really, even when you're using it, you can't really feel it, but it's waxed so that, and they used to make these incredible. I mean, you think this design's good. Some of the designs are amazing, and they used to make these incredible what they called fishermen's sweaters, in
Oh,
the
yeah,
old
those are
days, Aran
gorgeous.
sweaters, fishermen's sweaters, and because the wool was every strand, every piece of wool as they were sort of uh, winding it, yanking it, whatever they do with it, it would have this coat of wax on it, so that you could literally, and fishermen perhaps still do this today. I'd love to know if anybody knows if you can get that wool, because I'd love to get some of that wool. But they would go out and in their boats or wherever, and the sweaters, because they were waxed, were rainproof, waterproof. They'd come in from the sea. They'd be absolutely drenched, but those sweaters would hold their shape and keep them dry and warm. And that's what you want to be wearing today. And if anybody can tell me where I could get some true, really true Aaron wool, I'd love to know that. Chris.
All right, Maggie's at home with COVID symptoms, and she's saying,
Oh,
I had a wonderful dream this morning. My new son-in-law to be was holding in his arms a beautiful little boy with red gold hair, same as when my daughter was born, with striking blue eyes. Is this new little one coming soon before the wedding?
I don't know. What do you think I am? A fortune teller, young lady? We should always take notice of our dreams. Absolutely, we should. How exciting is that? That's all I'm saying. Chris.
Carol says, is it usual that the longer one has transitioned, the less they come around, leave coins, move things, etc.? Or is it just
No.
me, as it seems that my beloved Paul is coming around less?
Okay. No, it isn't true that the longer we have left, the less we're inclined to come visit. I think what happens though is that as we let's see, as I can't say as we get over the grief, because we don't actually, but as we learn to live with it and as we get on with our lives, we pay less attention. I'm sure, don't really intend to, but life has a way of taking over. And as we pay less attention, and as we have less need, uh, there's not a need for our loved ones in the spirit world to be that close to us, and they have other things to do. So, but when we need them, when we show them that we need them, or if when we're paying attention, they are there. So it's not really a question of them coming less, more that we need them less, so therefore they have more time to do other things. Hope that did that make sense, Chris?
It made sense.
Okay.
Carson's asking, do people on the other side automatically know everything in caps about
No,
everyone when they pass, like every little
no,
thing?
no. It's a bit of a fallacy, really. There's still so many things that we don't know. However, having said that, um, we see our loved ones, we visit them often, so we hear what's going on, we see what's going on. I always find it funny when I might get to someone having a consultation with me, and let's say Granny comes through, for instance, and the person who's having the consultation, one of the questions they'll ask is, can you tell me how to lose weight, because I have real problems losing weight. And I try so hard, and I really stick to the diet, but I'm still not losing weight. And then I hear Granny laughing. Yeah, well, she's not telling you, Rosemary, about the secret stash of potato chips she's got in the cupboard, which she helps herself to when nobody's looking. So, so they see those sorts of things. I remember my father, when my father died, he was instrumental in helping me to uncover the fact that my husband was having an affair with my best friend. That came about purely from my father and my father's influence, without a doubt. And my father, you see, having realized what was going on, the cheating and the lying and so on, he was not one to put up with that. So, as he would say, the long knives came out, and boy, oh boy, did we sort that out. So our loved ones, there are no, well, if you want to keep a secret, don't tell anybody, including your own self, really. you can't keep things like that from your loved ones in the spirit world, because they can come around at any time, at any moment. And, you know, they're not coming to judge you. Please understand that. They're not coming to judge, or, although my father definitely judged my husband because he'd been a naughty boy, let's say, since before we were married, since, you know, since I found his and her towels in the bathroom on my wedding day, and they were from a young student who worked for us. My, you know, my ex was always naughty, couldn't help himself, couldn't resist it. And if you're going to do things like that, or if you're going to be a thief, or if you're stealing money, or if you're beating your wife, or if you're beating your husband, because that happens too. If you are rude to your kids, that happens, and they see. And I'm reminded of many years ago when you know, I think I'll save that story.
I
Chris,
know the one you're
remind me,
talking about. Yeah.
do you? I don't think I might have told it, but a while ago. It reminds me of how clearly the spirit world does see us. And truly, they've not come to judge us, but don't think they don't know what you're up to. Even if you're just making a batch of chocolate chip cookies or something, that my daddy often comes to me when I'm in the kitchen, and there he is. And you know, and I'm sure that he comes around even when I'm not aware that he comes around. I'm sure he comes and takes a peek at me from time to time. And I do laugh if I stub my toe, or if I trip over something and I use a word that I'm not supposed to use, and I'll say, I know, but it's only a word. And I'm telling Gregor, it's all right that I can use that word, because it's only a word. It's only, you know, it's only 4 letters, and you know, what's it mean anyway? And I start laughing, and he starts laughing, because I know that I am justifying myself where there is no justification. So please understand, they do see, just so you know. Chris.
All right. This is from Violet. Recently, I've been having nightmares, most notably a figure, male, I think, next to my bed pulling at me. It was so frightening, I woke up. On waking, he was still there. I woke up again. He's looking for
Oh,
commentary. She's looking for commentary.
well, Violet, um, interesting. Uh, I really want to get into this, and for all of you listening, I think it's my Violet. Think it's. I'll call you later. We'll talk about it later on. But you know, I'm going to suspect that it's someone who knows you and someone who cares about you. Um, I recently had a situation with a lovely, lovely young lady who is having, uh, if you can take what you're experiencing 1,000 times over, she's having these issues. And, you know, it's very rare that we get anything that's, you know, not nice, let's say evil entities around. And I'm pretty sure, Violet, I know who this is, so we'll talk later. But I don't want you to be afraid when these things happen. Having said that, these things happened to me many years ago, still do now, but they happened to me many years ago and used to terrify me, because what's happening? Help, you know. And so I remember a student of mine came to one of our classes years and years ago, and she said, oh, Rosemary, you'll never guess what happened. She said, I felt just about to fall asleep, and I felt the bed go down, and I sat up, and there was a lady sitting on the bed looking at me and smiling, and she said, first of all, I dived under the covers, and then when I came back out, she's under the covers, she's saying, what would Rosemary do? What would Rosemary do? So she said, I came back out and said hello to her and had a conversation with her. And she was so proud of herself because for doing what she thought Rosemary would do. And the truth is, would I do it in the beginning? Very, you know, when this stuff started happening to me, I probably would Well, I did as a child, didn't I? I used to hide under the bedclothes and pretend that these things were not happening. Bit scary, but Violet, we'll talk later. Chris,
Well, I want to
it's so
remark.
not fair, is it? It's so not fair, is it, that I can talk to Violet later on? People are thinking, well, oh my gosh, call me later.
I just want to remark on the time because you had wanted to talk about love and you had wanted to share the story about Reese and Gray Eagle. So your choice whether you go to questions or do that.
Okay, I'll briefly talk about love because I think what we're going to be doing this whole month is we're going to be talking about love. And, love seems such a beautiful thing and a wonderful thing, but there are so many different types of love. There's the possessive love. There's the all-encompassing giving up your own self for love. You love someone so much that you give to them and forget to give to you. And then of course there's the love of our children, and there's the love of our grandchildren. There are so many different types of love, and some types of love, believe it or not, can be really destructive. And other types of love can be really constructive. I think it's important for us all to have love in our lives. And I know there are many of us who don't have love in our lives. But there's also the love of self. And I think that this month we're going to be talking about how can we learn to love ourselves? Because if we can't learn to love ourselves, it's very difficult for us then to know how to love others in a positive way. So they're going to be our subjects. We're going to have an off the cuff later on tonight. Yes, I know. Get ready for it. I don't know quite what time because I know, Chris, it might it be 7 o'clock or something our time, between 7 and 8 o'clock our time here in the US, and that's 5 hours on for those of you in the UK, and I'm not sure where we are from there, but we're going to be doing some off the cuffs, and we're going to be doing off the cuffs this month, talking about love, and I want your input, all of you, because I know that some of you you've been loved, but it's been such a smothering kind of love. And how do we deal with that? What can we do with that? I know that some of us as mothers tend to smother rather than mother, and I know that there are sort of so many different types of love, and we want your stories. So tonight, between 7 and 8, it is off the cuff after all. We don't have to definitely decide on a time. But watch for us. We're going to be talking about love the whole month through. We're going to be talking about lots of different types of love. I will briefly tell the story of Reese, who sometimes when I talk to him every night, and sometimes we do quiz. So I asked him a couple of quizzes and a couple of questions, and if he doesn't know the answer, he has to say, "May I confer?" and I'll say yes. Or if he's giving the quiz to me, I'll say, "May I confer?" He says yes. So I asked him 2 questions, and he said, "May I confer? Mama, what do you think?" Okay. So then he asked me a question. So the question was, so am I, on my birthday, am I going ice skating? Am I having a sleepover, or am I having a big party? And he thinks that I don't really know this. So I say to him, "May I confer?" And he looks at me and he said, "Well, who are you going to confer with?" And I said, "Grey Eagle." Oh, that's not fair. I said, "It's just as fair as you asking Mama, because you know that Mama knows the answer to at least one of the questions I asked you." She's been, "Yes, but no."
That's great.
Anyway, so I thought you might all enjoy that little. You see how we bring it into our everyday lives. This is not something that we do aside from this spiritual stuff. we build it into our lives. It's part of who we are. It's part of how we work. It is a very, very big, normal, natural, easy part of our lives. And I wish it could be more so for more people. Anyway, Chris, do we have time for any more questions? We do, don't we?
Yeah,
Right.
we do. I just wanted to make sure you got in what you wanted to say today.
Yeah,
Um,
I just thought that was a funny thing
it was
to say.
great.
Okay.
I want to bring up a couple of things you were asking about the wool for the sweaters. So
Yes.
Andrew's asking, is that wax lanolin, which wool naturally has?
No, I think it's a special. It's a treatment that they do. The fisherman's wool. It's a specially treated wool that makes the wool waterproof. It makes every not every strand, but they weave all the strands together and then they wax. So every string, every ball of wool is waxed as it's being, as it's being, it's just treated with wax. But thank you, Andrew, for that. Anything else, Chris?
Judith said Aran sweaters and wool products are also listed on Amazon in case you wanted to check there.
No, not really, because I've actually checked, and they don't. As far as I can see, they don't do the. I think if I went to Ireland or Scotland, or if it went to the Orkney Islands or somewhere like that, I might be able to get it. But I would really love to be able to get it and not have to travel all that way. But we shall see. Chris.
Sharon says, after I asked you last week if my mom was disappointed in me, I had a dream that she visited me and kissed my forehead. It was incredible.
Oh, oh, well, don't you, that it wasn't a dream. You know that it was a real visit. It might have felt like a dream. When things happen to us like that, we wake up and we think, that was, I had this dream. And then we say, but it was so real. But it was just a dream. But it was so real. And I think you know perfectly well, my darling, that was your mummy visiting you. How brilliant is that? Chris.
Andrew says, your book, Angels in Training, has been shipped to me from Lulu. I
Oh,
was
good.
going to say I would let you know if it helps. Then I thought you might reply something along the lines of, if it helps, it's basically down to you. Then I was going to ask, well, how will I know if any change is evoked? Then I thought you would say, you will know. Have I preempted all your answers, or do you have any suggestions?
I think it's like anything else. The more you put into a thing, the more you get out of it. So if you follow through on these exercises and you do these tasks, you're going to find it. You may not even know immediately how much it is changing you or how much it's helping you, but I'll guarantee you, if you do these tasks, I mean, they're not just mindless things. You have to think about it. You have to think about what you're doing. You have to pay attention to what you're doing. And you have to get into the spirit of what you're doing. And again, I will say to you, Andrew, the more you put into it, the more you're going to get out of it. But without a shadow of a doubt, it will, if you put work in, it will produce uh, the desired results for you. I think you'll be so much happier, and I think you'll be so much more contented, and I think it will sort of raise your level of consciousness. It will raise your level of awareness, and that can only be a really, really good thing. Chris.
Jeff was commenting on Carson's question and your answer. He said, when I am honest, I don't have to remember anything about my past other than the good.
There you are. Good. Thanks, Jeff.
I
Chris.
am says, I used to find coins often these last 2 years. I know it's my late mother's doing. Recently, I stopped finding coins, which correlates to my current financial situation of not having the ready. I think They're looking for comments.
I don't think it correlates to that. I think that, sometimes when we get into a negative frame of mind, and it's so easy, isn't it, these days, for us all to get into a negative frame of mind. I don't think it's that the gifts have stopped coming. I think that perhaps you maybe don't see quite as clearly where they are, or you perhaps don't notice them as much. But I'm going to be sending you some healing. So I want you to lift yourself. I want you to lift your soul. I want you to lift your spirit. So we're going to put you on the healing book, if we may. I'm going to do it anyway for you. So I've done it already. I've asked Grey Eagle. See, as quick as that. There you are. We're sending you healing. Chris.
Rhonda's asking, when we pass to the other side, will we learn how the Egyptians built the incredible pyramids? It has always mystified me how in the world they moved 1,000-pound blocks.
Well, you do realize that during the building of the pyramids, hundreds of thousands of men died, slaves died. There was no shortage of slaves in those days. But I know what you mean. There are some, how did they raise the obelisks? I mean, when you go to Egypt and you see these things, how they get them up there, because they didn't have cranes, they didn't have all the equipment, all the modern equipment that we have. But I suspect that they used sound, because sound and certain types of sound creates vibration, and I think that sound is very important in our world today, and I think it was also very important in many cultures, because using sound and using the vibration that is created from certain types of sound, I think we can lift things and move things in a way that obviously the ancients knew, the ancient Egyptians knew, in every culture, the Native Americans, that they knew the value of using sound, using voice, using different instruments. I mean, if you go to for instance, if you go to a Sundance, if you've ever been to a Sundance, or you've ever been to a session with the Native Americans, and I mean, when they are really in sync and they're really working it, that sound will elevate. The sound of the drums, the sounds of the flute will elevate your own self. It will help you to raise up. So I think that I like the question, and I've standing looking. If you stand too close to some of the obelisks, you can't see up because they're way too high. 15, 20, 30 feet, you get them up there. How did they get them up? I mean, where did they come from anyway? And, how are they built? Or what is it? It's just one piece structure. So many fascinating things. And the pyramids fascinate me, of course, too. And if you've been inside of a pyramid, which I have been fortunate to be in, the structure, the way that things are made inside as well as the outside is mind-boggling, absolutely mind-boggling. Chris.
We're right at time, Rosemary, and since we have an off the cuff tonight, I'm sure we can answer
Right.
more questions then.
Let's go. All right then. So for those of you who'd like to join us later, please feel free. We're going to be doing a few off the cuffs throughout the month, because after all, it's the month of love. It is the month of my darling boy's birthday, and hopefully my daughter and my grandson will be coming to visit me in Florida, in a week or so too. So it's exciting. It's an exciting month. So please join us for Off the Cuff. If you cannot make it, we will definitely be back on Saturday. Will we, Chris?
We will.
Get right. So we'll definitely be back on Saturday morning for story time, and we got a good story for you about how clearly we are seen, how clearly the spirit world sees us. And boy, oh boy, I'm not sure we really want to know that, but at the same time, it's fascinating. So we're going to be talking about that. In the meantime, thank you so very much, all of you. We love your input, and we love the questions. So thank you so very much, all of you, for joining us. I'd like to say a special thank you to Grey Eagle and, of course, to Chris. Mike's blowing you kisses, just so you know. So I'd like to say thank you to Mike as well for joining us, and thank you to you, Chris, for all that you do. So until I see you all again, please, everyone, have a very, very, and even a more very, very blessed rest of the day. Bye bye.